You're listening to the FA Cup quarter-finals on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. A place at Wembley for the semi-finals of the oldest cup competition in the world awaits either Manchester City or Newcastle. Sit back and enjoy this one in the company of former England captain Stuart Pearce and your match commentator Sam Matterface.
Thank you, Faye. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us after what has been a busy day of football up and down the country, and after a week of racing at Cheltenham. And all of a sudden, the last few hurdles come into view in the FA Cup. Manchester City still on for a treble. Liverpool fancy a fourfold. Newcastle United hoping that a outside shot can land a winner at a big price. 732 teams entered the FA Cup. Only 7 remain. Only 1 is in the FA Cup semi-finals, and that's Coventry City. Manchester City are a thoroughbred. 7 times winners, looking to achieve what no other team have ever done and qualify for the semi-finals of this grand old cup for a 6th successive season. Newcastle, maybe the young foal, hampered by injury and a tough draw that hasn't gone the course and distance since 1955 when they beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final. They have it all to do today, which is why they are quoted at 9-1, Stuart. That's quite some price for 2 teams in the same sort of level, both of whom have finished in the top 4 last season.
You can't believe that in a 2-horse race like this, in 2 teams that are in the top echelons of the Premier League, that one team is 9-1. It's incredible. And on the horse theme, it's lovely to be working alongside a lovely gelding like yourself.
It's good to be back in the saddle alongside you.
Like your work.
And good to see that you brought your joppers. If you like football, you love Talksport. Already today, we've treated you to Coventry's big victory over Wolves, Burnley's rare home win, and thrilling action as the goals went in at Portman Road. Tomorrow, Chelsea-Leicester, the big one, Man United versus Liverpool. Next week, we're on England duty. But tonight, it's Stuart Pearce's 2 old clubs clashing for a place at one of his favourite venues. Referee today, Simon Hooper. Thomas Bramall is the VAR. Jared Gillett is the support VAR. 2 teams, Manchester City in light blue with white shorts and light blue socks, attacking the goal away to our left in the first half. Ortega, the goalkeeper. Walker, right back. Diaz, Akanji and Gvardiol making up the back 4. Rodri and Kovacic in midfield with Silva, Foden and Doku behind Erling Haaland in attack. Newcastle United have Dubravka in goal. A back 3 today of Cher, Lascelles, Botman, and then Murphy and Burner, the wing backs, with Guimaraes, Longstaff and Willock in midfield. Isaac and Gordon in attack. The road to Wembley will open up for either Manchester City or Newcastle United. And Stuart, everyone says it will be City. How do Newcastle flip the narrative?
Well, I think the key is they've got to defend extremely well, as we know. But dealing with Doku, I think he is a bit of a handful. And as he's proven at the moment, running at Lascelles into the box.
Lascelles manages to nab the ball off him, go towards the byline and scoop it out for a throw-in down by the corner flag away to our left-hand side. An early bit of front foot action from Jeremy Doku, who's combined with Gvardiol down this left-hand side once again as Newcastle retreat to the edge of their own penalty area inside the first minute of the game. The ball in midfield with Rodri, now onto Kovacic, who's just been called up for the Croatia squad alongside Gvardiol. Out wide towards the right side where Bernardo Silva is waiting. On down that further right channel is Carl Walker. They keep Newcastle penned in right on the edge of their own box here, and then have to go all the way back to the halfway line. You're about to say about Doku before he rudely interrupted you and started to actually try and do something.
Yeah, he is the one in the game last weekend, obviously come off the bench and rattled the post, and that, if that had hit the back of the net, potentially the winner in the game. But he is the one that can go past you, take 1 or 2 players on comfortably. And I'm just looking at the way City are lining up as well. Newcastle got to deal with a box. There's a box of 4 basically. Kovacic, Rodri, and then tucked in front of them, Foden and Silva. So whether they get outnumbered in that midfield area, Newcastle, and have to deal with that.
Here's Bernardo Silva down the right side, looking to find Walker. Low cross into the centre is steered away by Botman and out on the far touchline. They conceded early in the game against Chelsea. They won't want to do that here today. Sticking in the game for as long as possible is going to be the secret for Newcastle, who have already beaten Manchester City once this season, albeit at home in the Carabao Cup. They lost both their Premier League meetings by a single goal and gave a good account of themselves in both. But they've lost their last 9 trips here, and they've conceded 31 goals in the process. Here's Haaland in the 10 position trying to feed Foden. It's blocked by Lascelles, who gets across and doubles up with Longstaff. The ball breaks in midfield and it's picked up by Willock, who scoops it over the top for Anthony Gordon to chase. And then across comes Gvardiol and puts the ball out, although an offside flag would have gone up against the new England recruit, Anthony Gordon, who gets his first call up for the senior team.
Yeah, I'm pleased he has, actually. I think he's done extremely well, not just this season, but beyond this season as well. And as I say, looking at him today in that slightly different position, not playing in that width area that he's so accustomed to, and more down the middle as such.
Half-time in the Six Nations, Alfie Reynolds.
Half-time, Ireland 7, Scotland 6. Scotland's ability to shoot themselves in the foot on display again here. An overthrown line out. Dan Sheehan scooped it up, and that's the Irish try that gives them a 1-point lead. If it stays this way, Ireland are retaining their Six Nations title. Half-time, Ireland 7, Scotland 6.
Sven Botman comes across and duels with Erling Haaland. He puts him to the floor, and the referee deems his contact enough to generate a free kick for Manchester City, just left of the centre circle. We've played 4 minutes. You're listening to Talksport, live in FA Cup quarter-final action with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. Ball is in the centre circle. Mateo Kovacic with his shirt tucked in. He's followed Rodri's fashion advice, I think, by tucking his shirt into his shorts. That hasn't happened since, well, your day.
It certainly hasn't. I used to tuck my shirt into my socks, let alone my shorts.
I have a picture of you in your Nottingham Forest kit, firmly tucked into your shorts and stockings pulled up towards the knee. Old school style. Were you the one who, when they bought out those big longer shorts back in the really early 90s, that sent them back to the kit man and said make those shorter?
It went straight to the kit lady, and she chopped a big lump off and moved the badge up about 3 yards, to be honest with you. How can you play football in a big pair of long johns? Yeah, ridiculous.
You like the hot pants, don't you?
Indeed.
Here's Lascelles on the halfway line, out towards the right. Murphy bends the ball in behind the defence. It might come through to attack here, and Ruben Diaz just about got in front of him and wafted the ball away to safety. It was a bending delivery from the right side from Jacob Murphy, whose deliveries actually, after coming off the bench against Chelsea on Monday, caused problems, and he's certainly caused problems for Manchester City there. That was a terrific ball.
It was a magnificent ball by Murphy. He's just whipped it in, and for a moment I didn't think Rodri, it's gone in behind him, and I didn't think he was going to get a toe on it. If he didn't, he's X in.
It's such good defending by Ruben Diaz, who just about got across and put himself in front of the Swede. And Manchester City survive an early scare in the first 5 minutes of the game against Newcastle United. Here is Bernardo Silva trying to run down the right. Brilliant running by Joe Willock, and he sends it long now for maybe Isaac to try and get in behind. And you can see the game plan for Newcastle United, isn't it? Leave Isaac up top, look to try and find him with long balls over the top of the 2 centre halves and see what he can do.
Well, they got Isaac with his pace, but also alongside him, just to the right, probably slightly deeper than that, is Gordon. And if you leave them 2-on-2, they are a handful.
Here is Bernardo Silva again, though, attacking down the inside right channel for Newcastle United. Nil the score. Low ball in by Walker to the near post, which is fended away by Fabian Schär, and it's out for a throw-in over on the far side. 0-0 on Talksport on a busy day of action. Burnley, what a game that was up at Turf Moor today on Talksport 2. Victory for them by 2-1, the longest VAR check in history, because the screen wasn't working properly. And then down at Kenilworth Road, Faye Carruthers went through every single range of emotion, I think.
Well, you can say that. She walked out the press room and into the gents' toilets, watching the game on her laptop.
I heard about this. Here's Gvardiol down the left-hand side, getting the ball for Manchester City. Infield to Rodri, out towards the right-hand side. The ball cannons into the air and it goes out away to our left-hand side. I heard she followed you into the gentlemen's toilets, actually.
I was caught short.
Yes.
You know, at my tender age, I have to
Go
pop to the loo before I come to my commentary position. Well, maybe not every 10 minutes, you know.
If you ever wonder what those periods of silence were in commentary. 0-0, 8 minutes gone, and Manchester City yet to test Dubravka away to our left-hand side. There's been a few skirmishes at the other end, but nothing major. Everything's been rather concentrated on the edge rather than in the thick of the action. The ball is on the left with Gvardiol, though. Helps it out towards Doku, who's in the Belgium squad that Kevin De Bruyne has been left out of by Dominic Tedesco. Infield it goes to Kovacic, across to Rodri, forward to Foden. Foden on the spin, immediately Haaland goes to run, but so does Doku, and Murphy has to stick with him, and he does excellently. Just to edge him off the ball, lent into the body of Doku as he went to attack the inside left channel, and that allowed Dubravka to come steaming out and scoop the ball up just in front of the Belgian winger.
Yeah, because of the match-up on the pitch, Murphy's asked to drop back from his wing-back position right back and almost deal with Doku as a full-back, if you like, and he'd done it brilliantly well there.
Willock, who's excellent at breaking from midfield, wins the ball and charges forward down the Newcastle United left. He then sends it towards Isak, who's inside the penalty area here, trying to get away from Akanji, who gets his calculations right and intervenes, sends the ball wide towards the right-hand side, where Bernardo Silva is waiting to get it clear, but he gets it clear only as far as Fabian Schär, who then gives the ball away because Longstaff wasn't paying attention, and Doku picks it up and sprints forward, gets to the edge of the area, tries to feed Foden. It's blocked by Botman. Good defending by Newcastle United, and then Gumarães picks it up, slaloms past three, and then sends the ball into a green grass for Isak to chase, but Ortega read it, came out very quickly and nabbed it up. What a great start to the match.
Well, both teams are exploiting any opportunity to counter-attack. Newcastle, they've got a lot of space in and around them, and they get forward when they possibly can.
A bit of a concern for Bruno Gumarães here, who seems to have got a kick on his ankle.
Yeah, Manchester City, they flood players forward, but if they do get the odd chance to break with a 2-on-2, 3-on-3, they're very, very clinical.
Doku was leading that, tried to feed Phil Foden, but it was a good challenge, brilliant challenge in fact, by Sven Botman. Manchester City involved in a compelling title race and a Champions League quarter-finalists, with Madrid lying in wait on paper. This one looks the most simplest of their upcoming tasks, but the FA Cup throws spanners in works with regularity. Just ask Gary O'Neill and Wolverhampton Wanderers.
And I've got to say, an absolute super result for Coventry City Football Club, obviously. I'd just left the club when they went on to win the FA Cup last time.
Here down the right-hand side, the ball has been played into the path of Walker, sent centrally. I do keep in my wallet a picture of you in Coventry City kit, though, as I showed you earlier.
You certainly did, in Coventry City haircut. I had a sort of pelt on my head at the time, didn't I? I seem to remember.
I don't know what it was, but it was very 80s. It was like the biggest dyed blonde fringe I've seen since Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I used to insert shoulder pads in my kit as well.
Did you?
Know, very 80s.
Here is Dubravka, edge of the area, up high into the air. It drops down inside City territory, controlled well by Akanji. Akanji looks up, plays it centrally, and Rodri is there again, out towards the far side, and then all the way back towards the edge of his own 18-yard box. Newcastle boss Eddie Howe, often accused of being the nice bloke in the room, but he admitted that in a controlled way he lost his rag on Monday night. And don't be fooled by that exterior, he's not always Mr. Nice Guy. I think he was hurt by one description of their performance by a local social media site that suggested that their performance against Chelsea was spineless and cowardly.
That is not something you associate with this resurgent Newcastle team of the last couple of years, really.
Doku down the inside right, looks for space for Walker, who's gone into the right wing position. He holds the ball up, gives it back to Doku, who's gone over to the other side to cause a little bit of damage. Foden to Silva, edge of the area, all very tight and compact, trying to prise open this resolute Newcastle back line. They spread the play to the left, where waiting for the ball is Gvardiol. He turns inside Murphy, slips it back to Kovacic, edge of the area. He has to retreat, then turns, fires it into Rodri. Rodri across to Bernardo Silva once again. This happening about 15 yards back from the edge of the area as Manchester City try to just find a way through. They go to the left via Akanji, looking for Gvardiol. And Stuart just pointing out that Isaac and Gordon hardly getting involved, actually, just waiting for the counter-attack to break down. Here is Silva into the area, right-footed shot, takes a deflection slip over the top of Dubravka and in. And Bernardo Silva, with a touch of fortune about the deflection, opens the scoring in the FA Cup quarter-final. His effort from the right edge of the area bounced off a defender and it lolloped over the top of Dubravka and into the far corner. And Newcastle United are opened up once again. It's Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, as I say, you mentioned those words that the manager levelled at his team Monday night, Eddie Howe, and probably they were just too sort of insipid in setting off and letting Manchester City play. It's all very well doing that in deeper areas. When they get in your penalty box, you've got to be more aggressive to the man on the ball.
Well, he waited, he delayed, and they took their time getting out to him. And then it came off the back of one of the defenders. I think it was it Dan Burn who got across there? I couldn't quite see who it was. They turned their back at the vital moment. It scooped up off the air and into the back of the net. It was Dan Burn who deflected it behind Dubravka and into the net. And as a result, it's Manchester City who lead after just 13 minutes of the game. And that will be frustrating for Eddie Howe, because although they have scored goals regularly, to be behind against this Manchester City team usually only means one thing. They'll be able to take inspiration from Liverpool's comeback last week, where they went a goal down, came back to 1-1 and looked like the likeliest to go on and win that game. But Newcastle are nowhere near as good as Liverpool right now. They need a miracle performance in order to get back into and then overturn this deficit.
Yeah, Newcastle, just look at my memory of Newcastle, certainly at St James's, is a very aggressive team in the tackle, pressing, and I'm not seeing that at the moment. Look a little bit off the pace.
Doku, Silva, joining is Kovacic into Erling Haaland. Haaland taking it wide, back to Kovacic, looking to scoop it over the top for Haaland, and he almost got enough on it to take it wide of Dubravka, who comes out and gathers just on the edge of the 6-yard box. But it has a feeling of a very long night for the Geordies. Given away by Murphy on this near side, the right. Won by Gvardiol. Centrally is Rodri. They swarm forward once again, Manchester City, who lead by a goal to nil. 15 minutes gone. Rodri, standing tall, fires it into the muscular Erling Haaland. The ball comes back into midfield, but it's a City shirt who gets there first. And then Akanji sends it back square, where Rodri can build again. Any early momentum and spunk that Newcastle was showing has just been ebbed away from them with the concession of that 13th minute goal.
It has, and I think prior to that, I've got to say, Sam, I'm not seeing the aggression in this Newcastle side that I associate with them, to be fair. When they're on form and when they're really at it, they're aggressive in the challenge, they're aggressive in the press. I'm not seeing that so much, and that's probably cost them the goal, if I'm being honest.
Manchester City have a brilliant record here. And when they have been outfoxed, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, for example, Chelsea and Arsenal went after them. Liverpool did that in the second half. You can't say that about Manchester City. About Newcastle United, sorry. They haven't been as aggressive and as desperate to get there as those teams have, and displayed in their moments when they were able to make City pay, make City think Here is Longstaff getting the better of Gvardiol, trying to get down the right-hand side. He's crossed into the boxes near Anthony Gordon, but got close enough. It's pushed away by Ortega. It was a little bit dramatic from him, and eventually cleared up towards Haaland. Good strong challenge by Cher. Referee says play on, and the ball runs out to the left, and Doku decides to run towards the edge of the box. He gets up there now, tries to take on Lascelles, goes on the outside, then chops back again. He's got no one arriving to help him out. Haaland's back on his feet. Kovacic across to Rodri, and then back to Kyle Walker, the captain of Manchester City. You're listening to City 1, Newcastle 0 in the FA Cup quarter-finals with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup, 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. Yellow card has come out for Fabian Schär for that challenge on Erling Haaland. He's absolutely perplexed by it. He thought it was firm but fair. Was it?
Well, 100%. Just looked at the replay of it. I thought it at the time, and the replays just bore that out. I think he's gone there. He's got first contact on the ball. And quite often what happens in the modern day game now, it's the reaction of the player that rolling around that influences the decision.
That wasn't a foul, was it?
No. Let alone wasn't it a foul. It
wasn't a yellow card.
Booking, exactly that. And you just hope it doesn't pay any consequence later in the game for him.
Haaland over on the far side. And certainly Fabian Schär looked a little bit perplexed, and I can understand that feeling. It was a robust challenge. Newcastle haven't reached an FA Cup semi-final since 2005. That is a long time ago. Here over on the far side, Isak looking to chase. Away by Walker, it's out of play off Bernardo Silva, and it's away for a throw-in. City are the cup holders, which is warning enough of their pedigree. The Manchester City Premier League champions, Champions League winners and World Club champions as well. And they're on an incredible 21-game unbeaten run in all competitions. That's what is standing between Newcastle United and a semi-final. But here is Anthony Gordon down the left-hand side, getting towards the edge of the box, trying to feed the ball into Willock, who plays it against the defender. Thought he was going to get a corner kick there, didn't get it. And it goes behind. There is around about 8,000 Geordies that have made the journey across today, and they're in the top two tiers of the stand away to our right. And they were bellowing at Simon Hooper to give that decision. Eddie Howe looks a little bit angst-ridden on the touchline. They're pressing high up on the 18-yard box as Ortega threatens to clip it forward. He goes over the press and sends it long. Lascelles wins the header out towards this near side, the right. Haaland comes across, and then Murphy manages to win the tackle. It's out for a throw-in. Haaland encouraged by his manager, who comes out in a big sleeping bag jacket to applaud the Norwegians' activities and energy to chase the ball out to the near touchline. And Manchester City have it again on halfway.
Yeah, Ortega there taking a goal kick, and Haaland's pushed right up, and Newcastle have dropped back with him, but it's not Ederson in goal. Ortega can't kick the ball that length. I don't know why they dropped back as far as he did, actually, the defensive line.
Quick free kick taken for Newcastle, and Isak is away down the left-hand side. He gets it back to Bruno Guimaraes, by which time City have flexed back into action. Here is Longstaff inside the area, plays it against the Kanji, and they do now win that corner kick, which they craved on this near side, and it will be taken by Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, this certainly might be a way forward for Newcastle here. They've certainly got some very, very tall boys amongst their ranks.
Ball on this near side to be taken by Jacob Murphy. Murphy to take it right-footed in towards the far back edge of the post. The header by Lascelles is back across the face of goal, and the offside flag is up. OK, let's go off to the game at Craven Cottage and find out the early stage of the Premier League game there. Fulham against Tottenham. Talksport Sam Ellard.
It's Fulham 0, Tottenham 0, but Fulham have had the two best chances. Andreas Pereira had a shot deflected just wide from outside the box. Then Iwobi was played in down the right-hand side. His ball across goal was pushed into the danger zone by Vicario. On came Pereira. Somehow his shot from close range was blocked by Romero. 22 minutes gone. Fulham on top, but it's still Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
Earlier today in the Premier League, Luton scored a late on goal to secure a point at home to Nottingham Forest. Burnley beat Brentford 2-1 at Turf Moor in the EFL. Ipswich thrashed Sheffield Wednesday to go second. West Brom and Norwich win to solidify positions in the top 6. Watford won at Birmingham in Tom Clevery's first game in charge. And in the South Wales derby, it's Swansea who come out on top again against Cardiff. Coventry stunning Wolves in the FA Cup quarter-finals to reach the last 4 for only the second time in their history, thanks to 2 stoppage time goals, second of which was absolutely belting. Ellis Sims scored twice in that game for Coventry. And when I spoke to Josh Eccles yesterday on the Jim White show, he said to me, if Wolves should be scared of anyone, it would be Ellis Sims. And he was right. Here is Kovacic on this near side, turning the ball infield to Erling Haaland. Haaland across to Rodri. Rodri out to the far side now, and Bernardo Silva scampers forward. He plays it out to the right. It's a low ball in towards the near post. It took a deflection, but it was dealt with well by Cher, and it's out for a throw-in over on the far touchline. 22.5 minutes gone, Stuart Pearce. And have Newcastle reacted in any way to conceding that goal?
I don't think so. I mean, they, as you say, I'm not seeing the aggression in their play that is synonymous with them, to be fair. And the best chances they've got is on turnover of possession, getting it forward quickly. And I think they failed to do that as quickly as they possibly could.
And they've got the silken skill of Alexander Isak, but they don't want him in a wide position. They want him out leading the line, being the man that they're aiming for upfield. He scored an absolute beaut of a goal on Monday night. Here's Gordon chasing down Ortega, who comes across and manages to clear it from inside the box. There's a wrestling match going on between Botman and Haaland, which Manchester City emerged from the ball with. Rodri onto Doku. Doku plays it on to Haaland, who's made a dart into the inside left channel. He's got support from Gvardiol. As once again City come on the attack, leading by a goal to nil. A lead given to them by a deflected goal from Bernardo Silva. And that goal at this moment in time separates these two teams at the Etihad Stadium.
I'm interested looking at Haaland's body language there. You know, there was a little... He received the ball, made a decent run, but his body language suggested he wanted the ball played further in front of him, potentially.
Here is Foden. He does look as if he's got a bit between his teeth today. I think you rile him up at your peril, and he's the kind of guy that if you sort of leave him alone to get on with it, he can sort of zone out of games occasionally. But Sven Botman almost seemed determined to get into a brawl with him from the moment we kicked off here, and he looks like he fancies it as a result. Here's Rodri.
Yeah, you do think that he's got a bit of fire in his belly. I think he is one of those types. You stoke him up a little bit and rough him up, and he quite enjoys it. So when they're like that, just leave them alone, give them a little tickle for 90 minutes, you know, tell them how good they are.
Oh, your old tactics are coming out now. Here is Akanji sending it forward into the centre circle. Longstaff does well and wins it. Gordon then pops it out towards Murphy. He wanted to release it quickly, but there wasn't anyone to really aim at. Guimaraes into Longstaff, back to Guimaraes again, but he had to go backwards rather than forwards. And then he turns, looks up, fires it down towards Anthony Gordon, who made an intelligent run down the inside right, but then Willock was stretching to reach that Guimaraes ball. It wasn't the most accurate, and it's cleared away by City. Once again, Newcastle have it on halfway. It's 1-0 to Manchester City, but Guimaraes just got it once more, and he sent Murphy down the right. There's a bit of space here. He sends the ball centrally looking for Isak, but he just couldn't get enough behind it. Didn't have the legs to reach the Swede, and out come Ortega and cleared it upfield. Foden trying to get away from Dan Burn. Burn trying to stick to his task. Ball worked out wide to Doku. Doku on the left-hand side of the penalty area as Manchester City come forward once more, leading by a goal to nil. Infield to Rodri, who threatened to pull the hammer down on one from 25 yards, but went wide instead to Bernardo Silva into Foden. He hit that like a rocket at Foden, and even Foden with his sublime first touch couldn't control it.
It was like a Yorker, weren't it? That he just got done and clipped it into the slips there.
Luckily, there wasn't anybody coming from behind to catch him out. Foden has it. Left edge of the area, bludgeons the ball goalwards, but it's well over the top, but it's out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Tomorrow on Talksport, we will bring you live commentary of Chelsea, Leicester and Manchester United against Liverpool. We'll keep you in touch with Millwall against Leeds as well from the Championship. We've only got 8 games to go in that division now. It's an exciting end to the Championship season. Live on Talksport 2 at the same time. London Broncos will take on Warrington Wolves.
They certainly will.
You're going to be there, aren't you?
I shall be at the game, yeah. Really looking forward to it. Should be a good game.
Massive Super League enthusiast. And Stuart Pearce has offered his services as an analyst in that game as well. And you said, come on, I'll give you a bit of a different view.
I think Talksport would be absolutely missing a trick if they didn't have me on.
Well, I agree.
At least for 10 minutes. I'll be too busy eating my Sunday lunch the rest of the time, as you well know, Sam.
As long as it fits into your schedule, fella, that's all that matters. Here is Longstaff back to the right-hand side, and Cher over the top of the City defence goes a long searching ball. Guimaraes didn't get there because Ruben Diaz came across and nudged it clear, and then they work it up to Doku, who shows his full range of tricks, and then Lascelles brings him down. There wasn't too much in it, but a yellow card has come out. And a free kick has been given to Manchester City, a good 15-20 yards back from the edge of the penalty area on the left-hand side.
Yeah, very clear-cut foul, really. He's almost clotheslined him, grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, pulled him back.
Yeah, I said there wasn't much in it, apart from that arm round the neck and throw to the floor.
That's Saturday afternoon wrestling, clothesline, that is.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Big Daddy would have been pleased with that, wouldn't he? Well, 2 of the back 3 now for Newcastle have been booked, and one of them was Lascelles, who's just gone into the referee's notebook, and Phil Foden is presiding over a free kick. And Manchester City are looking to join Coventry City in the FA Cup semi-finals. Free kick to be taken on this near side, and it will be Foden who delivers the ball towards the penalty spot, and Cher got the header in. It wasn't the most convincing of headers, and it went straight over the top and out for the corner.
I tell you, he's done quite well in this game so far. The 2 central defenders for City, and also Ortega as well, just sweeping up when he's had to, just come off the line, and he's got his head to one and just swept up anything on the counter-attack. They've done extremely well, the 3 of them.
Newcastle's creaky defence needs to be on its alert here as Foden sends the ball back to Haaland, who sends a powerful header towards goal, blocked by Lascelles. Goes out back to Haaland on that right-hand side. He tries to turn and fire the ball infield. Rodri is fouled by Longstaff, who wasn't. The referee says play on, and Gordon has gone sprinting through the centre at a rapid pace. He's got to stay on side here. Isak's got to deliver the ball on this near side as well if he can get hold of it. He can try to, and he couldn't quite reach it, and then he found Gvardiol. And as Willock's ball came out to Isak got a little bit too handsy and gave away an unnecessary free kick on this near touchline. And that was a bit of a waste of a counter-attack, really. I thought Willock held on to it for too long. Gordon almost made his run, then had to check back and make it again.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, you've got to get that ball forward very, very quick. And the furthest man up the pitch when you play City has got to run in behind and offer himself in behind.
Jamie O'Hara and Gabby Agbonlahor bringing you the post-match reaction. A little bit later on, we'll do our best to get Pep and Eddie Howe live on Talksport tonight. You'll be able to give them a call, 03717 223344. The Game Day full-time phone-in is on air straight after we finish tonight. Here is Foden picking the ball up in a pocket behind the defence, turns, shoots towards goal, blocked by Fabian Cher. Out wide towards the left-hand side, collected now by Gvardiol, and in stepping into a congested area was Kovacic. Back out wide to Gvardiol again. He looks up, he's got Doku and Haaland just waiting, lurking, ready to pounce as soon as a ball drops in their favour. They give it to Ruben Diaz to build through the middle, out to the right, and Silva, who comes in on his left foot, tries another strike. Oh, Dubravka's gone over the top of the ball. It might have been a deflection that eluded him, but he's jumped over the top of the ball and it's squirmed through the middle of the goal, and it's 2-0 now to Manchester City, and it's 2 goals that Dubravka will be disappointed with, the Newcastle defence will be disappointed with, and the Newcastle fans will be disappointed with. Sven Botman, I think, he deflected off him. He'd already made his committed dive to the right, Dubravka, and he jumped over the top of the ball, and it's 2-0 to Manchester City.
It's a carbon copy of the first goal, to be honest with you. They're giving him so much room, and all of a sudden Silva comes into the box, 2-3 players around him, and none of them have got touch tight or really dominate him on the ball. And it's ended up, is that Botman that's ended up getting his head on it and deflecting it underneath the goalkeeper. 2 really poor goals for Newcastle to concede.
Well, the celebrations are City celebrations. The disappointment and the blushes belong to Botman. And Dubravka, I don't think, covered himself in glory there either. He went to try and scissor kick the ball in mid-air, and it seemed to go underneath him. I know it's a difficult one for him because of the deflection, but he was absolutely furious. I think he's probably furious about the fact about no one going to close down Silva in the first place.
Well, listen, the warning signs were there from the first goal, to be honest with you, and they've let Silva come into the same area inside the box and get his shot away. And to be fair, you're in the lap of the gods at that stage because you've got so many bodies between you and the goal.
He came off in the Copenhagen game, Bernardo Silva, a game in which he scored. That was his last goal. He's got 2 today. And Manchester City lead by 2-0. Doku coming forward, looking to add to their advantage. We've played 33 minutes. And Joe Willock has committed another foul. Well, what do Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall do here? Because you've got to, in effect, throw caution to the wind. There is no point in a one-off match like this. Maybe not yet, but you've got to make sure you don't go further behind, and then you've got to make sure you give yourself a chance, haven't you?
In all honesty, I would probably be tempted to flatten off to a back 4 if I was them, you know, and put Gordon where he's probably prefers to play, wide on the left, and shove Murphy up the pitch and let him get his full-back as well, and leave Isak on his own.
How frustrating is it for a manager when you've come up, designed a game plan which I imagine was centering on frustrating Manchester City for as long as possible, and finding yourself 2-0 down after 34 minutes to goals like that?
Well, you've got to be compact, but also with that compactness and the depth that you show as a team, you've got to be aggressive as well. If someone's on the ball right in front of you, you've got to go and rat him and get his head down. Now, Manchester City have got 11 players that are absolutely outstanding. They can play with their head down, so if you let them get their head up and give them a sight of goal and let them wander and amble into the box like Silva did then on 2 occasions, you're going to suffer the consequence.
Ball back towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Dubravka, under pressure from Haaland, plays it wide towards his left. It's collected by Byrne, infield to Gordon. Little flick, releases Bruno Guimaraes. She runs into traffic. Rodri is that traffic, which means it stops right there. Let's go off to Craven Cottage. Talksport, Sam Allard.
It's still Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. Fulham started the better of the 2 sides, but Spurs have grown into the game. Maddison broke down the left-hand side. He picked out Heung-min Son, who was unmarked in the box. He tried to pass the ball into the roof of the net, but his effort went just over. Then Udogie broke down the left-hand side, picked out Maddison inside the box. His effort went just wide. Good game of football. 36 gone. Fulham 0, Spurs 0.
Talksport back at the Etihad Stadium, and Newcastle United have won the ball inside City territory. Just in front of the centre circle is Bruno Guimaraes. He plays it wide towards the Newcastle right. They're on the attack now. Murphy with a deep cross to the far post. Byrne getting up there, heads it down. It falls down towards Isak, who strikes it. It's a brilliant Ortega save. Down to his left, one-handed, sensational stop by Stefan Ortega. And Alexander Isak, the closest that Newcastle have come to scoring a goal. That was a terrific opportunity, and it was a brilliant save. He can't quite believe it didn't go in.
I've got to say, magnificent save. Good set-up, great cross to the far post. Dan Byrne, who's just headed it back into the danger zone. And Isak's got great contact. The ball was high, bouncing high, got over the top of it brilliantly. Drove it in there, and a really good save from the goalkeeper.
I will say the fact that Alexander Isak had so much time and space to execute that volley would suggest that wasn't great defending from Manchester City.
No, definitely not. As I say, they got attracted to the ball to the far post, and when it was headed back, he was free. This is the fourth time now a free kick's been given where I'm thinking there was an advantage to be played.
Well, Simon Hooper, the referee, has given the free kick in Newcastle's favour, and it's going to be Murphy who drips this in towards the edge of the box. It went over the head of Cher, went out the other side, and it's retrieved by Carl Walker, who brings it forward, slips the ball into Rodri. He then feeds it into the path of Erling Haaland, who sort of pummels the ball out towards the right-hand side. Bit too much on that, goes out of play and away for a throw-in level with the left edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, Haaland, I think, took the wrong option there. He's gone out to the right-hand side. Doku was the pass on the left-hand side, I believe.
Well, Manchester City will be licking their lips at the prospect of getting more goals in this game. Newcastle defence looks shot to bits. They've conceded 40 goals now in the 20 and a half games since Nick Pope got injured. Here is Doku, edge of the area, trying to shoot from distance, well over the top of the crossbar. And when you are conceding on average 2 per game, it's not a good sign for anyone.
No, it's not. I'm just watching Doku there. He stops the ball and moves it so quickly, it's absolutely frightening. Just looking at that again. He stops it, he does a little shimmy, moves it, and creates chances for himself to either go past people or get shots away.
Well, his hips moved so fast there. It was reminiscent, actually, of your celebration when Nottingham Forest went 1-0 up earlier on, and you were dancing in Faker Others' face.
Well, to be fair, she was a little bit niggly about that, actually.
Yes.
I hadn't realised, you know?
Yeah. Not as niggly as wiggly as your hips.
Oh no, snaky they call me on the dance floor, fella. Or something like that.
I was going to say, that has something to do with slithering. Here is Murphy being bumped off the ball by Haaland. Ouch. Free kick given in the right full-back position. And Dubravka wanted to take it quickly, and then he's told by Simon Hooper not to do so from that sort of range. But Newcastle know that in order to return to Europe this season, they probably need to win the FA Cup. A challenge for the top 5 is a stretch. 13 points behind Tottenham, could be 14 by the end of the night, might be even more than that. They can stretch their gap today with a victory or a draw at Craven Cottage. Whilst European football isn't completely out of reach, defeat to Chelsea on Monday night certainly made it more difficult for them. And especially the way they are playing at this moment in time, they can't really get to that international break quick enough.
Yeah, as I say, sometimes you need these little firewall breaks of international football. If things are going well, you want the season to carry on. If you're having a bad time, got a few injuries, the international break couldn't come at a better time.
Although I was looking around, actually, and there's not going to be much of a break. Dubravka goes away with Slovenia. Cher goes away with Switzerland. Botman gets to stay. He's not going away with the Netherlands. Guimaraes is off with Brazil. Gordon obviously caught up for England. Isaac going away with Sweden.
They portray the international break being a really good time to do some coaching with your players, but you're probably left, in all honesty, with probably 6 or 7 players, and that's it, and they need a break.
Here is Botman into Guimaraes inside the centre circle. It's back to Cher, who shepherds the ball out towards the near side, and then it's sent forward and upfield high towards Isaac from Lascelles, but Isaac can't get there ahead of Akanji, and it's back in the capable hands of Rodri.
How old is Akanji? Is he 21?
No, he's not 21, no. Akanji is 28 years of age.
28.
He's making his 8th start since his injury in January, a brief injury. He's in the Switzerland squad. He'll go away with his international colleague. Oh, lovely turn by Foden to elude the defender. Gets into the box, tries a left-footed shot. Was tracked well by Bruno Guimaraes, who got there and did enough to put him off. But the way he took that ball in, Phil Foden, and then just managed to turn so quickly and so balletically, it was a thing of beauty.
It certainly was. Great ball into him, and he's taken it on the back foot and put himself in all in one movement, hasn't he? And he just needed literally a little clip through his legs, and he just needed to be a little bit stronger potentially, but you've got to give Guimaraes some credit there. He tracked him back and put pressure on him.
He really did. It was good defeat, a good work by Bruno Guimaraes. And a lovely touch by Phil Foden. He allowed it to hit his back foot, and then he just used that, manipulated the power on the ball to give him a chance to attack. We're going to go off to Craven Cottage in just a second, but Haaland is steaming through the centre here, and he's got Foden to his right and Doku to his left. It's Doku who picks it up on the edge of the D. A right-footed shot deflects behind and goes out for another corner over on the far side. Goal in the game at Craven Cottage. Talksport Sam Ellard.
Well, as it stands, it's Fulham 1, Tottenham 0. There is a check for offside. I think he might just be offside, but it's outstanding work from Robinson down the left-hand side. A fantastic ball into the box. Muniz is there. He takes the touch. It's an outstanding finish past Vicario, but the lines are going to come out. Is he offside? He might just be offside. At the moment, Sam, it's still Fulham 1, Tottenham 0, but we're waiting on VAR.
OK, back to you in just a second to get confirmation of that. Anthony Robinson in good form going forward at least. Ball into towards the near post, punched away by the Dubravka from the corner and straight out for another one. And Rodrigo Muniz, wow, what great form he is in. He is scoring goals for fun at this moment in time for Fulham. Let's go back to Sam Ellard and find out what the result of that VAR check was. Offside or not?
Onside, Fulham 1, Tottenham 0. You mentioned his brilliant form there. It's now 6 goals in his last 7 games. It is brilliant work from Robinson down the left. A great ball into the box. Great first touch. Great finish. Fulham deserve it. We've got a couple of minutes to half time. Fulham 1, Tottenham 0.
I'm going to say I'm absolutely delighted about that, because Anthony Robinson is one of the very few players in my fantasy team that are actually playing this week. Here is the corner over on the far side. And it's placed down by Phil Foden. This is the third corner in succession, right at the end of the first half. 2 minutes to go before half-time. In towards the near post again, hooked away by Isaac, and then Gordon thumps it further clear, but there's no one in front of him to chase it. Walker scurries back, wins it, turns it into the path of Kovacic. Half-time's big for Eddie Howe, isn't it? I mean, 2-0... there is a chance. 3-0, absolutely none. Get through to half-time now with this scoreline and try and come up with a plan. Yeah,
indeed. I think a change of shape would help Newcastle. I think that would get a little bit more out of Gordon if they played him in the width. I'm not sure he's totally comfortable in where he's playing. And Murphy's having to do a lot of work defensively rather than what he's good at. He's going forward, taking players on.
Well, at this moment in time, he's on the wrong side of the pitch because they haven't switched back from the corner. So Dan Burn is marking Jeremy Doku. I'm sure he's thinking to himself, thanks for that. Here is Kovacic trying to turn inside the centre circle. Plays it square into Rodri, then on to Akanji. Akanji then tries to funnel the ball into Doku, and Lascelles has missed it, and Doku is away, and he tries to take on the goalkeeper, and he just overhit it. And then the goalkeeper came out and made himself big enough to force Doku's effort wide after the snap shot from Doku. He just almost got ahead of himself there. His feet were moving too fast for the ball, and he ended up just sort of wafting at it and running into Dubravka, who's now injured himself in the process.
Yeah, he's an exciting player to watch, and Doku's movement there was brilliant. A couple of steps towards the man on the ball, and then he spun in behind Lascelles, and Lascelles was trying to keep his eye on the ball, keep his eye on the movement of the player, and in the end Doku's in behind him.
We are the only UK broadcaster to bring you all 4 FA Cup quarter-finals. This one, 2-0 to City at the moment. Haaland with a header, deflected into the air. Another header towards goal, this time by Ruben Diaz. He's stopped on the line by Dubravka. And Newcastle want to get to half-time. They will have to play 2 added minutes at the end of the first half. It's Manchester City who lead by 2-0. Here is Bruno Guimaraes up towards the halfway line. He's held onto the ball well, but then he's been taken on by Doku. And then, well, he thought he was fouled, Bruno Guimaraes. The referee said play on. He grabbed the ball, and the referee then said, well, that's handball. So it's going to be a free kick the other way.
Well, if he hasn't given a foul, then it is handball. I wonder whether Eddie Howe will make a couple of substitutions as well to shake things up if he feels as though he needs to.
Well, on the bench, he does have Dummett, Ritchie, Target, Kraft, Hall, Almiron, Anderson and Miley. I wonder if Miguel Almiron might make an appearance sooner rather than later. They do have the players on the pitch. I think, like you said, maybe it's just that they need to just move things around just a little bit. The problem is the absence of a proper right or left back, with all due respect to Dan Burn. I mean, he's done that job well over the course of the last little while, but They have no right back in the squad tonight because Trippier and Livramento both injured.
Yeah, and that's hurt them, there's no doubt about that. It's not just hurt them defensively as what they do as fullbacks, but those two are outstanding attacking players.
They are. They're outlets, aren't they? Either from set pieces, crossing from wide positions, running with the ball like Livramento did so well in that game on Monday night. Both sides of the pitch actually given away by Haaland and picked up by Willock, who sends Isaac away. Oh, it hits the back of his heels. He needs support. Willock then runs into his path, falls over, crumples like into a heap on the floor, and they look to counter-attack now. City, they're just not getting any rub of the green, Newcastle. The ball out wide to the left. Doku takes it on, gets to the edge of the penalty area. We're into the last few seconds of the first half. It's away and out on this near side, and it's out for a throw-in, which will be taken. Haaland's got a problem inside the centre circle.
It was a poor challenge, Sam. Really, really poor challenge. He was caught late. Wait until you see a replay of this. He'd set the ball off and was caught halfway down his shin with a late challenge straight across his foot, actually.
It was Cher, actually, who did that, and he has already been booked.
Yeah, he's been booked for a booking that wasn't a booking, really. So that's what puts the referee under a little bit of pressure there. And if you sat at Stockley Park looking at that or seen it as a fourth official, you'd probably take into account the fact his first booking was a little bit slapdash.
Well, Manchester City are looking to set another precedent by getting to a 6th successive FA Cup semi-final, and they have been encouraged by 2 goals from Bernardo Silva, both of which were deflected by Byrne and Botman. Newcastle had it all to do before the game. They've got a mountain to climb now. They've had 1 or 2 opportunities. Alexander Isak with the best of theirs, stopped by the supreme Stefan Ortega, who's dived to the left to pull off a miraculous save, stop Newcastle from getting back at it. At the break, it is Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1.
Yeah, it certainly feels as if Manchester United are Manchester City, should I say, are fully in control of this one. Stuart, Pearce, few conversations being had between Bernardo Silva and the referee Simon Hooper on the way back. He's still shrugging his shoulders, but he shouldn't do, really. He's got 2 goals from 2 deflections there. I'd take that for a night's work for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. As I say, City will be delighted. You know, they've been quite comfortable. I think they've been in second gear. They got 2 goals in front, and really poor defending in my mind by Newcastle. Got plenty of players behind the ball, but they've allowed Silva to just wander into the box and get shots away, and they paid the penalty for 2 poor deflections.
You mentioned it a couple of times in commentary. They're just not closing the space down at all. You can't give this Manchester City side so much time.
No. When I've watched Newcastle and they're fully at it and on pomp, they press really aggressively at both ends of the pitch. I've not seen that from them today, and that happens when your confidence is not fully in your side.
That Isak opportunity was the chance to get themselves back into the game. Sam said terrible defending from a Manchester City point of view, but could have done better. The ball just he got a clean shot on the volley, but it just fell in front of the keeper, made it easier for him.
Yeah, he did. As I say, Dan Byrne's done brilliant in just setting it back to him, and it was up high, so probably that's why he didn't get as much purchase on it, and he's driven it into the ground. But you can't take it away from Ortega. He put a good solid forearm on the ball to keep it out.
Yeah, all to play for in the second half. Let's see whether Eddie Howe makes any changes for that. Half-time at Craven Cottage. Talksport's Sam Allard's watching.
Good game of football here, Faye. Fulham 1, Tottenham 0. Fulham deserve their lead. They've been definitely the better side. Their goal came after great work from Anthony Robinson down the left-hand side. Brilliant ball into the box for Rodrigo Muniz. Free in the area. He ran onto the ball, fired into the corner. His great form continues. 6 goals in 7 games now. Fulham had some really good chances early in the game. Pereira had a shot deflected just wide. Then Robinson, light for the goal, broke down the left-hand side. A great ball across the face of goal, wasn't converted. Spurs had a 10-minute period where they were on top and had some chances. Maddison's good work down the left-hand side saw him play the ball to Son unmarked in the box. He tried to pass the ball into the roof of the net, but his effort went just over the bar. And then Maddison had a chance himself. He was picked out unmarked in the box by Udogie. His shot went just wide of the post. Other than that, though, Fulham have been the better of the 2 sides, and they lead through Rodrigo Muniz's goal. He has 7 goals in 6 games. And at half-time, Faye, Fulham 1, Spurs 0.
Stuff, thank you very much, Sam. Here at the Etihad, it's Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0 at half-time in this FA Cup quarter-final on Talksport. We'll round up the day's action and bring you the second half next.
The Emirates FA Cup live on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Who are you backing in the next race?
The favourite, using the free bet I've got in the Bet UK app.
What? The favourite? You're joking? I could beat him running backwards.
As if, mate. I've seen you run, it's embarrassing.
You're embarrassing.
Ha! Whatever, mate. Whatever you think this Cheltenham, visit betuk.com to claim your £30 in free bets when you bet £10. Bet UK, it's where the UK bets.
New customers only, £10 minimum bet. Minimum odds and T&Cs apply. 18 plus, please gamble responsibly.
You know how the best ideas come in the shower? Well, here's one for you. Switching to an energy-efficient shower head is more efficient because it saves water and could save you up to £40 a year on energy bills. And that's worth singing about. Shower, save, repeat. It all adds up. Find more energy-saving tips at gov.uk/save energy.
The big gift giveaway is now on at Arnold Clark. Buy any car and enjoy a free gift. Choose from a £50 M&S gift card, 12 free car washes, or one of 6 fantastic experiences. From an overnight stay to a supercar track experience, there's an option for everyone. Don't miss the big gift giveaway. It's now on at every Arnold Clark across the UK. See arnoldclark.com.
For car insurance, you can rely on NFU Mutual. We pay out on 99% of car insurance claims with no quibble. And if you're hit by an at-fault, uninsured driver, your no-claims discount is protected. Conditions apply. We do this so you can enjoy the more important things. No wonder we're a Which recommended car insurance provider, February 2024. For quality car insurance you can rely on, join NFU Mutual today.
Worn out, busy day. Don't let tiredness get in the way when you just can't get going. Barocca can help you face the lag. Formulated with 11 vitamins and minerals, including vitamins B6 and 12 to help support energy release and reduce tiredness and fatigue. Barocca, face the lag. Barocca contains vitamin C, B vitamins 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 12, and magnesium and zinc.
The biggest rugby tournament of the year is coming to a Green King pub near you. Watch all the unmissable action live as Europe's top 6 battle it out for glory in the Six Nations tournament.
In and out, for the line!
Leave your rivalries at the door and get their team together to watch the Six Nations. Feel the excitement and the buzz of coming together to enjoy matchday food and drink at your nearest Green King sports pub.
Scores in the corner!
The Six Nations and Green King. 18 plus, drinkaware.co.uk.
We're BetMGM Sports and Casino. We know things aren't always golden. That's why we offer you the tools to keep your place safe. Set timeouts to always ensure you take a break when you feel like you need it. Set reality checks so you know exactly how long you've been playing. And set deposit limits to help control what you spend. Stay golden with BetMGM. Play responsibly.
18 plus.
See the Sunday edition and the Sunday session on Talksport? I always get the two of them mixed up. Session, edition, they sound like the same thing. It's dead confusing, which is why I've come up with a poem to help you tell them apart. Okay, here goes. There's the one called the Sunday edition, with two men on a weekly sports mission. The phone lines are humming, and Henry Winter is coming, so make it your morning must listen.
The Sunday edition, your unforgettable full-colour Sunday sports supplement with legendary football writers Henry Winter and Sean Custis. Hear all about it tomorrow morning from 9 on Talksport.
This is FA Cup Game Day Live on Talksport. Faye Carruthers with you this evening. Coming up next, it's the Game Day phone-in with Jamie O'Hara and Gabby Agbonlahor. If you want to get your calls in early, 03717 223344 is the number. Or you can WhatsApp that same number and give them a voice note as well. Has your team done well today or not? How are you feeling? Are you buzzy? Let them know. Now, though, let's take a look at the halftime highlights in partnership with Carling.
The Emirates FA Cup halftime highlights on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
If you like football, you love Talksport. Tonight, it's Stuart Pearce's two old clubs clashing for a place at one of his favourite venues. Silva into the area, right-footed shot, takes a deflection flick over the top of Dubravka and in. And Bernardo Silva with a touch of fortune about the deflection.
Setting off and letting Manchester City play. It's all very well doing that in deeper areas. When they get in your penalty box, you've got to be more aggressive to the man on the ball.
Silva, who comes in on his left foot, tries another strike. Oh, Dubravka's gone over the top of the ball. It might have been a deflection that eluded him.
Two really poor goals for Newcastle to concede.
Burn getting up there, heads it down. It falls down towards Zizek, who strikes it. It's a brilliant Ortega save.
What a day it's been. That was all thanks to Carling.
The Emirates FA Cup halftime highlights on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Now, it's been a really busy day on Talksport in the Premier League. Luton Town scored a late equaliser at home to Nottingham Forest in their relegation six-pointer. Nottingham Forest head coach Nuno Espirito Santo spoke to Talksport and rued their inability to score a second goal.
Disappointed, not only because we conceded in the final moments, but the way we played. We should have put the game over much earlier.
In terms of the battle at the bottom, we were all saying this is a six-pointer. You know, you win, you go 6 points clear and probably out of trouble, and put them really in trouble. I mean, where do you see the situation now? Because obviously you've still got the possible off-the-field problems to come as well.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned before. Let's wait this week. What is the decision? Let's take a look at the table. We have a lot of hard work in front of us. We have 9 games, 9 finals to play.
9 finals to play for all of those fighting for survival in the Premier League. That was Nuno Espirito Santo talking to Talksport's Ian Abrahams. Burnley got their first home win since the 2nd of December as well. They beat 10-man Brentford by 2-1. The visitors had Sergio Reguilon sent off inside the opening 10 minutes, so an uphill battle for them, and actually Brentford being dragged right into that relegation battle. 8 games to go in the EFL Championship as well, and Ipswich go back into second after a 6-0 thrashing of Sheffield Wednesday. The ball is back in Leeds United's court as they play Millwall tomorrow. West Brom and Norwich both won. They further solidify their spots in the playoff positions, and Watford beat Birmingham in Tom Cleverley's first game in charge earlier on as well in the South Wales derby that was live on Talksport 2. Swansea beat Cardiff by 2-0. In Scotland, Celtic are now top of the Scottish Premiership after beating St Johnstone by 3-1. And in the first of the 4 FA Cup quarter-finals we're bringing you here on Talksport, it finished Wolves 2, Coventry City 3. An absolutely incredible game. Only the second time in their history that Coventry have reached the semi-finals of this competition. They did it in really dramatic style as well, scoring 2 stoppage time goals, having been 2-1 down with 96 minutes on the clock. It was quite incredible. And after the match, Coventry manager Mark Robbins told Talksport his side were richly rewarded for their bravery.
We tried to go toe-to-toe with a really good, a top Premier League team, really. You know, Gary's turned them into a real force. Even with the injuries that he's got a way of playing that makes it really difficult for you. They've got some real talent, as you'd expect, but honestly it's a fantastic result for us. We've tried to take a game to them when we could do, and I thought we created some really good openings for ourselves.
Brilliant that the Coventry fans get to go back to Wembley after that disappointment in the playoffs last season. Remember, tomorrow we're going to bring you the other FA Cup quarter-finals. Chelsea against Leicester is at 12:45. Manchester United against Liverpool is at 3:30, both on Talksport, and then you can react to all of tomorrow's action, including the FA Cup, the Premier League and the EFL, with myself and Alan Pardew. We're on air from 6 o'clock taking all your calls, so get in touch with us on the Final Word phone in. We've got the second half between Manchester City and Newcastle coming up here next, but in the Six Nations, Italy beat Wales in Cardiff to achieve their most successful Six Nations and consign their hosts to a first wooden spoon in 21 years. Ireland, though, are heading for the Six Nations Championship. Closing stages against Scotland. What's the latest, Alfie Reynolds?
They are indeed, Faye. 10 minutes to go. Ireland 17, Scotland 6. Been far from a vintage Ireland performance by the high standards that this team has set. But a short while ago, Andrew Porter crashed over from close range for their second try, and you would imagine that that score will put this game to bed. Ireland looking like they're about to retain their Six Nations title. Ewan Ashman for Scotland has also been sent to the sin bin as well, so there's not much chance, you think, at the moment of a late Scotland comeback. We've got just under 10 minutes to play. It's Ireland 17, Scotland 6.
Before you go, Alfie, England are in Lyon to play France at 8 o'clock tonight. I mean, they've had a better Six Nations Championship than most people expected, I would say. Can they top it off by beating France?
Well, quite possibly. France haven't exactly been all that convincing themselves at this Six Nations, and England, it's amazing, isn't it? It happens every year with the Six Nations, but one result can change a whole complexion of a championship for a team. Before playing Ireland last week, there was a lot of question marks over this England team. Were they making enough progress that people expected? But at Twickenham, a brilliant game. I was there, a victory against Ireland that no one saw coming, and all of a sudden there's a lot of belief, there's a lot of faith in what Steve Borthwick is doing with this team, and actually, to a degree, the pressure is off against this French team, because I think that result against Ireland has given the fans enough to see that going forward this could be a really, really good England team. But having said that, what an opportunity to win their fourth game of this Six Nations away to France. They haven't beaten France in France since 2016. That will be their aim tonight, even though it looks like with Ireland doing the job against Scotland, there'll be no Six Nations title for England.
Yeah, disappointing but exciting at the same time for what this England side can bring going forward. Thank you very much, Alfie. Second half has just got underway at Craven Cottage. Sam Ellard is watching the match between Fulham and Tottenham. Hello, Sam. He's not there, in fact, and I'm sure we'll hear from Sam very shortly in the commentary here as the players are in the tunnel at the Etihad Stadium, just making their way out. We'll let you know whether Eddie Howe has decided to make any changes to his Newcastle side as they trail Manchester City by 2-0. They're first out on the pitch here at the Etihad, playing in front of 7,800 Newcastle fans over to our right-hand side, who are going to be with them all the way, trying to take this game at least to extra time. They need 2 goals in order to do that. The Manchester City players are on their way out as it stands. And who's going to join Coventry City in the FA Cup semi-finals? Who's booking their place at Wembley yet again for a second season in a row? Let's find out with Stuart Pearce and Sam Matterface.
Thanks, Faye. No personnel changes at the start of the second half for Manchester City or for Newcastle United. So we'll wait to see whether or not any positional changes take place. Newcastle and City met in the 1955 FA Cup final. Jackie Milburn scored after just 45 seconds that day. It was at the time the quickest goal in the cup final, and it stood until 1997, the last time that Newcastle lifted the FA Cup as well. But Newcastle's record against City has been paltry. The last player to score for them here was DeAndre Yedlin back in 2018. Their last win here a decade ago, when Rolando Aarons and Moussa Sissoko scored the goals in a 2-0 League Cup win. And there is only one survivor in the Newcastle squad this season from that win, and that's Paul Dummett, and he is on the Newcastle bench. We were expecting maybe a little bit more entertainment with the concession records and the scoring records of both these two teams, but it was probably a little bit too one-sided in that first half. Stuart Pearce?
Yeah, I think it was. As I say, I think it's been comfortable for City, I've got to say, and apart from the odd counter-attack and that effort from Isak, I don't think Newcastle, they'll be disappointed, I think, with their 45 minutes efforts.
We played just 48 seconds of the second half, and Manchester City in light blue jerseys, white shorts and light blue socks are attacking the goal away to our right. It's the black and white stripes of Newcastle who are attacking the goal away to our left, and they're trying to combine to get an attack on the muster on this near side, but Burns' ball is blocked by Walker, and it goes out of play on this near side. So Ortega is the Manchester City goalkeeper. The back four is Walker, Diaz, Akanji and Gvardiol. Rodri and Kovacic, the two in midfield, with Silva, Foden and Doku behind Haaland in attack. Newcastle have Dubravka in goal, back three of Cher and Lascelles and Botman. 2 of those have been booked already. Murphy and Byrne are the wing-backs. Guimaraes, Longstaff and Willock are in midfield, with Isaac joined by Gordon in attack. There has been a goal in the game at Fulham. Let's go to Talksport, Sam Ellard.
49 minutes gone, Fulham 2, Tottenham 0. It's really good play once again from Fulham down the right-hand side. It gets played to Castagna. He just comes into the box. He whips the ball in with real pace. And Saka Lukic, he just throws his left leg at it. It ends up coming off his thigh and into the bottom corner. He did really well just to get something on it. The perfect start to the second half for Fulham. Fulham 2, Tottenham 0.
They've had a good season, especially at home. They've had a terrific home record, actually, recently. Fulham under Marco Silva. And they lead by 2-0 tonight. And that damages Tottenham Hotspur's hopes of catching Aston Villa, who they beat last week. They could have gone above them with a victory tonight. There's still a possibility that they can get one. Here is Doku on the left, getting the ball back and sending it goalwards. A good save by Dubravka, who went down to his right and managed to flick the ball clear. It goes out on this near side and away for a corner. Doku's effort stopped by the big Slovenian goalkeeper.
Yeah, brilliant interchange there. It was Doku into Foden. That little hitch kick through his legs again sent Doku through into the box. And he shot across the goalkeeper, was well saved.
Here comes Kovacic from the short corner, taken by Foden into Silva and then back out to Kovacic. Then Doku's got it in the dead centre of the Newcastle half as they try and knit away to goal once again. Goes out towards the far side and then collected by Gvardiol before he hesitates, waits and then darts infield. Manchester City have scored in their last 57 home games in a row now in all competitions. They are almost impossible to stop at times, but you do need to get close to them. You do need to fight and harass and harry, and I wonder whether or not Newcastle have just lost a little bit of that fight, lost a little bit of that energy that carried them to the Champions League last year. They played a lot of games. It's a small squad, Stuart, and the season does take its toll.
Yeah, it's a psychological effects as well, you know, to get up again, having achieved what they did last year was absolutely sensational. And some of the performances, you know, the performances against Madrid were football like we've never seen before, you know. So listen, there's still a lot of football to be played, and they're in pole position in most of the competitions they're in.
Ball is over on the far side with Kovacic into the feet of Rodri. And it's collected by Bernardo Silva, who helps it on towards the right-hand side. Doku tries to bring the ball infield. He gets to the byline and then turns the cross towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's funneled away by Joe Willock. A lot of people coming in late to the start of the second half after enjoying the hospitality in the Tunnel Club, which is behind us here. We're in the lower tier of the Colin Bell stand. We're in the area of the stand, actually, that when this ground became a football stadium rather than an athletics one, was actually underground.
It was, as I say, I was here as a coach when this place was getting built, and the standoff to our left was just totally a temporary one, and basically it was removed after the Commonwealth Games, and this stadium was built, and a magnificent stadium it is.
And Newcastle fans are a little bit irate that a throw-in hasn't gone their way. Here is Rodri trying to help it on to Foden, edge of the area, runs laterally across the edge of the box and sends it wide to the left, collected by Gvardiol. Infield to Kovacic now, who swishes the ball out towards the right side. Walker trying to get up to in support, but couldn't reach it, and it's out of play. And once again, this second half has started in a familiar pattern with the light blue shirts of Manchester City attacking the goal away to our right at gusto, and Newcastle hanging on and trying to look for a counter-attacking opportunity. Something else they've introduced in the new season, this season, is waitress service for those in the Tunnel Club seats. I don't know if you've seen that.
I certainly have. I mean, they're here 3 hours before the game, have tea, coffee, drinks right the way through, and after 14 cups of tea, the one thing you do need at the start of the second half is another cup of tea delivered to you.
Yes, consumption is the order of the day, isn't it? Crikey. Although there was some geezer with a cone of chips and loads of ketchup smothering on top of them, and I did get quite jealous about, I've got to be honest. Here is Ortega away to our left. Oh, and he's run into a little bit of trouble, and Anthony Gordon almost pinched it off him, but there was Kovacic to come to his rescue. Just got enough to get it away. And Kovacic then breaks the lines and goes forward and finds Haaland on the right-hand side. Walker is steaming forward, but Haaland's going to go in alone. Gets to the edge of the box and shoots wide of the goal. Left-footed from the edge of the D, looking to angle it in at the far post. But it was just a little bit wide of Dubravka's right hand upright and goes behind and away for a goal kick.
Good play there. Kovacic first off, drove out the back line, fed it into Haaland, and he drove straight at the goal, and he just tried to fade it round the back line. Two defenders shutting him down, but just couldn't get enough curl on it. And his manager's telling you everything. His body language, Pep, there, a ridiculous amount of applause for Haaland tells you that probably Haaland is just suffering a little bit on confidence, I think.
He must be, mustn't he, really? I mean, 29 goals this season, 8 in his last 6 appearances. In the last round he got 5, yeah.
Yeah, I think we were here for the Copenhagen game and just looked at his XG, you know, and he's missed a lot more chances this year than ever he did last year. I think he's on the same goal tally, but he's missed some good chances that were frustrating.
Absolutely. The number of big chances missed has increased this year, and he said it himself, actually. You know, the chance that he said people, there was the press conference ahead of that Copenhagen game in which he said, people say I'm one of the best strikers in the world, but I missed the biggest chance ever against Manchester United. Here is Rodri down the right-hand side, trying to steam into the box and create another chance for him. He hits it against Sven Botman, who's looking more and more forlorn as the day goes on, and it goes behind and out for a throw away to our right. The rain in Manchester has started to teem down, almost as if the heavens have just opened, and just a natural waterfall has started. Here is Foden away to our right-hand side. He sends it in, left-footed, under the goalkeeper, punched into the air by Dubravka. It drops for Bernardo Silva. It goes to the byline, tees it back up for Phil Foden. Then it's on to Kovacic, and then it's whacked in towards the middle, takes a deflection, helped on by Akanji, not cleared properly, comes back to Gvardiol, who's evidently deflected over the top and out for a corner. His left-footed strike was on the volley after a poor clearance by Newcastle's defence, and it's out for a corner kick on the far side.
Yeah, it was. Newcastle had numbers back there but failed to clear the box, and Gvardiol had a really good shot, but fortunately for Newcastle on that occasion the deflection didn't end up in the back of their net.
It's 2-0 and we played 9 minutes in the second half. Here's the corner, an outswinger this time, away by Alexander Isak. Willock goes on the chase, he's not going to get there. It goes back to Ortega. He stops the ball in front of the D and then pings it forward again out towards the left-hand side, right on the chest of Foden, who controls it brilliantly, looks for the return. Murphy does well to get back to stop him from going any further, but he was offside anyway, and the free kick has been given.
Yeah, Murphy's done most of his better work, as he did just then, probably defensively, and that's really part of the spectrum you want from him, but the other side of that is you want to see something going forward as well, and he's been penned back.
Up towards Willock, who chests the ball down after Byrne has played him in. Diaz comes across. Willock does well to hold on to it. Joining is Anthony Gordon, 10 yards back from the edge of the D on the left-hand side. Rodri just came across, pinched it off Alexander Isak without him even realising that he was coming, and turned it over. But they won it back on halfway. Good work from Cher to get the better of Haaland. And now here is Jamal Lascelles. You're listening to Manchester City, who lead by 2-0 against Newcastle in the FA Cup. Quarterfinals on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. Here is Isak trying to turn inside the area, tries to tee it up edge of the box. Dan Byrne arriving, maybe he should have pulled the trigger as soon as he arrived. Instead he poked it down the left side for Willock, who wasn't on the same wavelength. Walker was trying to see it out, so Dan Byrne just went across and pushed him to the floor.
Well, there was no maybe about that. He come onto the ball brilliantly and really should have just thundered it into the City net.
Let's go off to Six Nations and full-time for Alfie Reynolds.
Yep, full-time. Ireland 17, Scotland 13. Ireland are the Six Nations champions. They retain their title. Not the best performance, but they've done enough. Tries scored by Dan Sheehan and Andrew Porter. For Scotland, a disappointing championship ends in disappointing fashion. Hugh Jones did score a late try for them. The full-time score, Ireland 17, Scotland 13.
Well, that means that England, who only had an outside chance, have got no chance now of winning the Six Nations. Not that there was much chance anyway. Even if they were watching videos to see some of the record point scores that teams have racked up against France. We'll keep you in touch with that game anyway. Here is Guimaraes on the halfway line, sending the ball to the edge of the 18-yard box. A flick on is by Shear, no one coming in and behind it. And it goes into the arms of Ortega. So Ireland claim the Six Nations title after beating Scotland in Dublin. Tomorrow we got more quarter-final action for you. Chelsea against Leicester. Manchester United against Liverpool. What a huge game that is tomorrow. Gordon chasing down Ortega away to our left, and Ortega picks his pass through the maelstrom of black and white jerseys that were trying to come forward and pressurise him. He finds Doku, who looks to wriggle out of a tight gap over on the left, and only conspires to put it out for a Newcastle throw. Would you think about making changes if you were Eddie Howe now? We're getting towards that hour mark.
At half-time, probably. That's probably when I would have done it, a little change of shape or whatever, because as we're going at the moment, I'm not seeing City being threatened at all. I think they're too very, very comfortable within the game at the moment, and I'm not seeing where a goal's coming from Newcastle, if I'm being honest. But maybe a change of shape and a change of personnel will have to come at some stage. Sooner the better, I would suspect.
Well, they have scored 59 Premier League goals this season, the most in a top-flight season since 1964-65. They have bucked the trend already in terms of their previous seasons and scored in places that you wouldn't expect. They haven't scored here since that goal from DeAndre Yedlin in 2018. They desperately want to be able to do that tonight. They need to do that tonight if they are to get themselves back into this game. Eddie Howe's just looking down the touchline at possible replacements. So we'll go off to the game at Craven Cottage because there has been a goal for Talksport Sam Ellard.
How about this for a scoreline? 61 gone, it's Fulham 3, Tottenham 0. A corner comes in. Paulinho wins the header from the corner. It falls to Bassi, who shoots. Really, really good save from Vicario, who was there from close range to put the ball in the back of the net. The man in form, Rodrigo Muniz, scores again. Spurs brilliant last week at Villa, hopeless today. Fulham have punished them. 61 gone, Fulham 3, Tottenham 0.
Wow, what a result that is. Jamie O'Hara will be ready to take your calls. 03717 2233 44. I'm sure he'll be delighted about that, Jamie. And Gabiak Bonahor, I'm sure he's not going to give him any stick whatsoever. That's on straight after us here on TalkSport tonight. Make sure you give them a listen and make sure you get your calls in, your WhatsApp voice notes as well. 03717 2233 44. Good turn and run by Ruben Diaz, who tries to spark City into life because it's gone a little bit tepid inside the stadium. Doku down the left, trying to get beyond the challenge of Joe Willock. Goes back in field towards Kovacic. Kovacic to Foden. Foden out wide to the right. Now it's taken on by Bernardo Silva. Almiron about to come on. Wide right is Walker. Oh, his cross is deep, and out comes Dubravka. And he just about got there. Fingertipped the ball away from Haaland and then had to run and gobble the ball up because Diaz was coming in underneath him. It was a bit of a naughty foul that on Anthony Gordon.
Couple of points now, and I hope someone from the Referees Association is listening to this. That is the 7th time in the game today the referee has not played advantage when the team in possession have kept possession, and I don't know why. They carry on with the offside law about don't flag, let the game go on. Well, let the game go on when there's a foul. And if you wonder whether Newcastle were going to make a substitution, a busload of them have just turned up.
Well, you wait 61 minutes for a substitution, then 4 come along at once. Anthony Gordon, Dan Burn, both coming off to be replaced by Lewis Hall and Miguel Almiron. There was a discussion that you and I had at half-time about the fact that Dan Burn was playing left wing-back when Lewis Hall was available. Joe Willock has gone off to be replaced by Elliot Anderson. And the final one of those changes is going to see Lewis Miley replace Sean Longstaff. What do you make of the changes? It's not a change of shape, is it?
No, it doesn't seem to be. As I say, it's like for like, and he's giving certain players, Almiron playing up front just off of Isaac now, and all coming in at fullback, like for like positionally, that's for sure. But I think it needed freshening up, and I don't think they'll do it. It will hurt them.
So 4 changes for Eddie Howe with half an hour to go. Can those substitutions turn the tide in what has been a one-sided encounter so far? Oh dear. Talking of one-sided encounters, we'll go back down to Craven Cottage in just a moment. Here is Lewis Hall, infield, finding Bruno Guimaraes. Wider on the right is Jacob Murphy. Gets into an advanced position, takes the ball past Kovacic, chips the ball into the box. It almost came through to Elliot Anderson. Does come out to Guimaraes, who tries to keep it alive on the edge of the box. Foden then gets away from Anderson. Anderson, who just sticks his leg out, makes a foul on Phil Foden, and it is a free kick just in front of the box.
Yeah, clever play there by Foden. Had the ball, couldn't clear it in any way, shape or form, so had to dribble out of danger, which he done extremely well, drawing the foul.
Sam Alala's down at Craven Cottage.
Well, it is Fulham 3, Tottenham 0. We thought for a second it was Fulham 4, Tottenham 0, but the flag went up. Fulham took a quick free kick, played down the left-hand side. Tosin put the ball back into the box. João Palhinha was there to shoot. On the way through, though, the ball came off. Raul Jimenez, replay showed the substitute was in an offside position as the ball hit him and went into the back of the net. This could get messy for Tottenham. They've got to up their game. 65 gone, Fulham 3, Tottenham 0.
The problem with Tottenham is because they play that high line, when things start to go wrong for them, they can go very wrong very quickly, can't they?
Yeah, they certainly can. As I say, it's an aggressive way of playing football, and it's brilliant on the eye, and I enjoy watching Tottenham play, but as you rightly say, if you're not at the races on any given day.
Corner in towards the near post for Manchester City, are on the attack once again, leading by 2-0 here in this one-sided FA Cup quarter-final. Ball scooped in towards the back post by Erling Haaland, and then cleared away and out towards the far touchline. And Kovacic helps it back in field, finds Doku to Rodri. City looking to extend their lead and finish off the match here. They've made 4 changes, Newcastle, as they look to try and fashion a way back into the game. They've looked a little bit more solid in this second half, but I think most of that's because City have just taken their foot off the accelerator. Here's Lewis Hall, nabbing it from Doku, moving centrally and into Isaac now. Isaac then tries to feed it out towards the left, and now it's with Almiron. Almiron up against Walker, good race that. Trying to turn it round the corner, Elliot Anderson joins. He goes past Rodri, who just gets across him and doesn't give a free kick. Simon Hooper allows play on, and the momentum of the attack dissipates. And Rodri will bring it out from the centre of his own penalty area towards the midpoint of his own half, and it remains 2-0 to Manchester City. Live on Talksport, I'm told that Jamie O'Hara has gone AWOL in the Talksport office. Get those calls in now, book yourself onto the show. It's a good opportunity to give him a bit of stick. 03717 223344. Here is Bernardo Silva. Back to the right-hand side, into Walker. A good opportunity to break now. A great tackle by Anderson has sent Almiron away, and he's got opportunities down the left and right. He's spared Alexander Isak inside the area, takes it wide, maybe a little bit too wide, gets to the byline, tries to scoop it back again off the defender and goes behind and away for a corner. And again, those half chances, those moments, those opportunities to strike just seem to just fritter away from Newcastle United. They don't take them, and it remains 2-0.
Yeah, they don't take them because they've not been clinical on the final pass to set a teammate up. It's been fractionally behind on that occasion, and maybe the wrong option. You've got to take a defender out to lay your mate in, and he's got to be able to hit it first time.
Here is the corner aimed in towards Botman, who gets a header on it, but it's over the top of the crossbar.
We talked about Newcastle when I've seen them, when they've been very good. They press hard, and that chance come from a really good press They went collectively, aggressively, turned the ball over, and then they had a numbers advantage.
Have they been a little bit guilty of not making enough changes, or is that because the squad is so shallow, the injuries have cut so deep, that they haven't been able to freshen their team up when they've wanted to over the course of the season? Nick Pope's been out for ages. He's targeting a return at the end of April. Callum Wilson is never fit for longer than a couple of weeks at a time. Barnes, Trippier, Joe Linton's been out for ages. Tonali suspended. I mean, injury crisis is a term that's bandied around a lot, but it's legitimate in its description when it comes to Newcastle this season.
Yeah, and a few teams will probably say exactly the same, you know. Faye mentioned once or twice or 50 times about Luton's problems this year, you know, earlier.
I didn't hear her say that.
Yeah, especially when Forest were winning 1-0, you know. Yeah. And to be fair, there's a lot of teams that have suffered. Brentford, there's another team that have had a lot of injuries this season.
She'd actually sent me a text message after listening to the Premier League All Access podcast, which previews all the weekend's action in the Premier League and in the FA Cup, to tell me that I was right to suggest that Tedam Mengi was playing very well for Luton, but they are missing their 3 first-choice centre defenders. So she did. That was on Thursday, though, when she sent me that message. Here is Miley out towards the far side, and if you want to get a preview to Manchester United against Liverpool, that is still available on the Talksport app, and you can download it, and or from wherever else you get your podcasts from. There's loads of good podcasts on the Talksport app, and you can also flick between Talksport, Talksport 2, Virgin Radio Anthems, John Stone's favourite radio station, Virgin Radio 80s. Here is Haaland running down the left-hand side, picking the ball up on halfway and then running into a bit of a cul-de-sac. Didn't have too much support. The rain continues to relentlessly drive onto the pitch. It's coming down at a rapid pace now. And it started off, I'll tell you, this morning in Manchester when I woke up and I went out for a little 5k. Bright sunshine, clear blue sky, crisp morning.
It was lovely, I've got to say. I woke up in Wakey this morning and it was beautiful over there. I went out on a little bike ride.
Did you?
Yeah, took the wrong turn and went across the ploughed field, my friend. It's killed me new trainers.
Yeah, but you didn't pay for them, did you?
No, of course not.
I didn't think so.
You're so stupid.
Here is Rodri deep inside his own half. Talksport live in the FA Cup quarter-final. Manchester City leading by 2-0 with 21 minutes still to go in the FA Cup quarter-final on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. Ball back towards the edge of the 18-yard box that Manchester City are defending, away to our left on a rain-soaked evening. It's forward by Gvardiol, who will go away with the Croatia squad. He's not the only one. They've got a clutch of players, Manchester City, going away on international duty. Stones, Foden, Walker in the England squad. Rico Lewis in the under-21s. Doku, Belgium. Haaland, Bob with Norway. Akanji with Switzerland. Gvardiol and Kovacic with Croatia. Alvarez with Argentina. So I don't think Pep Guardiola is going to get through much work during the course of the next couple of weeks before that huge encounter with Arsenal.
Yeah, Newcastle a bit more aggressive now with their pressing, but I've got to say City do not keep the ball extremely well and take the sting out of them. This game's desperate for a Newcastle goal now to at least give them a hurrah, isn't it, late on.
Kovacic has it in the midpoint of the Newcastle half. Anderson chasing. He runs laterally and sends it out to Bernardo Silva. Back into Kovacic once again. 20 to go on Talksport. Rico Lewis warming up the way to our left. So is Matthias Nunez, and going through his paces Sergio Gomez, getting a little bit more revved up. Foden sends it wide towards the right-hand side. Walker back in field. Plays it to Bernardo Silva. Kovacic wide to the left. It's collected by Rodri. Rodri on to Gvardiol. 10 yards outside the box. They're looking to inch towards the Newcastle goal.
And they've had some passes now. I tell you what, this consecutive number of passes is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Newcastle haven't had a kick of the ball for quite some time. They're trying to stay firm here. Foden manages to get it down the right side. There is Lascelles prodding it away. Botman doesn't want to give it back again, so scurries out towards the near side. Lewis Hall sends it infield. Guimaraes Anderson immediately engaged, and they get the ball out the other side, Newcastle, and now they can move forward. Murphy looks up, runs forward. He's being chased by Doku. Almiron comes short towards the right side, then tries to send it into the path of Anderson, who takes it in really well. Lewis Hall helping out. Left edge of the area, up to Bruno Guimaraes, who's deflected ball into the box. Might fall kindly for Lewis Miley. It goes across the face of goal and off the defender. And Miley, I think it was Murphy's delivery actually, as he got to the byline after that, sent it right over the top and onto the top of the goal net.
Yeah, I think Murphy thought there was an offside, and he's half-heartedly crossed the ball.
Well, it couldn't have been an offside because Miley didn't touch the ball.
Well, he didn't, but he runs somewhere near the ball, so it depends on how that's viewed by the officials.
Well, it's a goal kick away to our left. Eddie Howe getting soaked. Jason Tyndall as well now coming out to have a quick word with Eddie Howe, as the ball is only half cleared by Ortega, and then a heavy touch by Murphy gives it straight to Kovacic. Vardiol down that left-hand side with a heavy ball which goes out of play. I wonder if the slickness, or the immediate slickness of the surface is starting to play havoc here with the range of passes, or whether one or two are just getting a little bit casual. Bearing in mind City know that they are 2-0 up against a Newcastle side that haven't scored here for 8 years. 6 years, sorry. The calculations were wrong there. Almiron trying to get it out wide towards Anderson. Back in field it goes. Looking to get it out wide towards the right. They said all the right things in the build-up to this, Newcastle. Eddie Howe saying that right from the very start they've wanted to give it a good go, but they have drawn Premier League opposition away from home in every round of this year's competition. They beat, in the last 2 rounds they've drawn Fulham. They had quite a big game in the third round when they had to go to Sunderland, which took a lot of attention. They won 3-0 that day. Fulham they beat away from home. Almiron looks as if he's offside here. He's scurrying in behind, but he's well offside. They had tough draws in the League Cup, didn't they, as well, where they had to go to Chelsea, and others ended up going out of that competition. And then, of course, the Champions League draw was horrendous for them.
Yeah, in all honesty, unless you are one of the powerhouse teams in any league in the world, the draw's got to be kind to you. Really has. Certainly in the clubs I've played for, when you come up against top teams, you know, you might beat one of them, but to get 2 of them or 3 of them in a row, you probably end up going out of the competition.
Well, whenever you come to Manchester City, that threat is always apparent. They're on the attack again, City down the left. The ball into the box by Gvardiol was aimed to Foden. It was cut out. Picked up by Bruno Guimaraes. Isaac has bent his run. Akanji's stomping after him. He's on the left-hand side here, trying to keep it in play. He's done well. He's taken on Akanji. He's got away from him. There was a foul by Akanji. And it's going to be a free kick just in from the touchline on this left-hand side. Now, if Newcastle could craft something here, we might have an interesting last 15 minutes.
Well, the goal will change if Newcastle get one, the whole dynamic of this game, because at the moment it's totally comfortable for City.
There's a few City fans behind the goal away to our left, where there isn't much shelter, starting to leave, or at least go towards the back of the stand to get out of the rain. Almiron to take it. He'll hit this left-footed. Guimaraes is over it too. He's going to take it, in fact, and he hits it right-footed towards the edge of the box. It's a poor delivery, and it's easily cleared away. Back in it goes towards Isaac, chested down by Walker with rather a degree of panache. He flexes his chest muscles, his pectorals, and the ball ends up in the arms of his goalkeeper, Stefan Ortega. 2-0.
Yeah, fantastically composed defending there by Walker. Took all the sting out the attack.
City playing their way out from the back. Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid is live on Talksport, and planning has already begun for that. Not just Stuart and I, who are very much looking forward to it, but Pep Guardiola, who says he needs to find a way of stopping Jude Bellingham. I'd fancy his chances. Jude Bellingham is a tough customer, but Pep Guardiola is something else. He'll have a plan.
Yeah, we certainly got some fantastic games ahead of us, that is for sure.
There'll be quite a few that are dislodged because as a result of this, I think the Manchester City-Tottenham game, which is due to be played on the weekend of the FA Cup semi-finals, will be moved if that comes into midweek, which I expect it to, and that will also be live on Talksport. And Tottenham play a role in the destination of the title. They've got Arsenal, they've got Liverpool, they have got also Manchester City, as I've just mentioned.
Yeah, as I say, they play a big role, I think, in where the Championship might go, because Tottenham are capable of anything, as we've seen today and we saw last weekend against Villa.
Bob on. Sorry, Oscar Bob on. That wasn't me just saying Bob on.
I thought you were giving yourself a compliment again.
And he replaces Doku. 13 minutes to go. You're listening to TalkSport. Here is Gvardiol over on the far side. Tottenham being well beaten at Craven Cottage in the Premier League. That game kicked off at 5:30 as well. Here Manchester City lead by 2-0. Been a busy day in Scotland. Celtic went top of the Scottish Premiership after they beat St Johnstone 3-1. Commentary, as we've heard, FA Cup semi-finalists for only the second time in their history, thanks to 2 stoppage time goals at Molineux. Ipswich up to second in the EFL, and in the Premier League today, Luton securing a point late on against Nottingham Forest. And Burnley beat Brentford 2-1 at Turf Moor, and Brentford really are on a poor run. That's 2 wins in 20 games now.
I think they've got enough points in the bag, but they certainly won't be sleeping comfortable most Saturday evenings.
You never know. There's always one that drops from the pack. Luton have got such tough games after the international break. Otherwise, you never know, it could have churned for them. With a victory today, I mean, if you think they had a great chance to get a victory on Wednesday night when they were 3-0 up against Bournemouth, and if they could have got something today as well, that would have completely changed the picture for them. Yeah. Felt a little bit sorry for Rob Edwards after the game on Wednesday, because the whole thing just sort of turned in 15 minutes.
I think at the end of the season they might look back at that visit to Bournemouth. I mean, the catalyst, obviously, we all know what happened in the game that was called off, the first Bournemouth game.
Yeah.
And the implications of that, losing a player for the period they had, and obviously the implications of the turnaround of scoreline.
Foul here on Rodri on halfway, who has been hurt by that challenge. And it was a challenge by Elliot Anderson, who was nibbling at him and then inadvertently, I think, stood on his ankle. And Rodri rolling around and in some pain. Eventually helped to his feet by Ruben Dias, and he hobbles away. It's not like Rodri to stay down for very long. Walker to take the free kick. We've got now just 10.5 minutes to play on Talksport, and it's 2-0. And for those wondering when the draw is, the Emirates FA Cup semi-final draw takes place tomorrow on Talksport. Mark Pugac and former FA Cup winner Ian Wright making the draw approximately 15 minutes after the final whistle of the tie between Manchester United and Liverpool, which will bring you on Talksport. Here's Bob winning the ball on the left-hand side from Murphy. He runs up towards the edge of the area. Murphy comes across him again and wins it back, and he has been pretty diligent in his work today, going back the other way. Jacob Murphy, he's done a good job in that regard. Ball cleared from inside the area, high upfield by Lascelles. It drops for Gvardiol. And Manchester City fashioning yet another attack. I think there are definitely holes in Newcastle. No one can be immune to criticism, but over the season they've been slightly unlucky with injuries, significant injuries. They've had iffy decisions in Europe, tough draws. Troy Deeney was suggesting as much in the summer. And when you talk about Newcastle, there is sort of discussions about what will happen in the summer. Eddie Howe says there won't be any big squad overhaul. Do you think that they are about par or just under par from where you would expect them to be, bearing in mind the amount of spending that they've done?
I would say under par. As I say, start of the season I tipped them to win the league, Newcastle, on the back of what I saw and what potential spending power they might have, all of those type of things. But I expected it to be further up the league, if I'm being honest with you.
Rico Lewis into Haaland inside the area, tries to get away from one defender, gets away from a second, shoots, deflected into the air by Botman, who got in front of Haaland, and it's over the top and out for a corner kick over on the far side. Let's go off to Craven Cottage very quickly, Sam Allard.
Still Fulham 3, Tottenham 0. Just a one chance for Spurs in the last 15 minutes. Somehow Timo Werner misses from close range. Johnson cross, Werner unmarked, yards out. Somehow he misses. Spurs really poor in the second period. Still 3-0 Fulham.
71% possession for Manchester City against Newcastle here today. And they lead by 2-0 going into the final 8 minutes of this game. They've got a corner kick far side. We've got another delay because of an injury. This time Sven Botman's knee is the problem, and I mean, bearing in mind the knee problems that he has had this season, we'll have to be a little bit careful with him.
There's a little bit of movement on the bench for Newcastle.
Yeah, Matt Ritchie I think is a possible candidate to come on here as the corner comes in towards the far post. Haaland was the intended target, didn't get there, and it's out on the near side. Rodri at walking pace from the right for Manchester City, who his next few games are big ones. Aston Villa follow that Arsenal game, the Real Madrid tie around the corner as well, Palace away after that. It's going to be a big week for Pep Guardiola and his team. 2 weeks after Easter. I mean, I don't know what Craig Pawson is flashing up there, but we've got a few issues here. We've got a jersey that needs to be replaced for Lewis Miley. Don't know what that's all about. And on comes Emil Kraft to replace Botman. So they will rejig the defence, and now we might see them go to a back four, or maybe actually Kraft will just play as a right-sided centre-half here. Quickly underway towards Anderson. That change of jersey was an interesting one, and maybe it's something to do. Do you remember earlier in the season there was a problem with Castoro's manufactured jerseys? Here's Bob into the edge of the area looking for Haaland, and grabbing the ball was Dubravka, and now he speeds it quickly into Elliot Anderson, who moves up towards halfway, wanted more movement in front of him, didn't get it. Bruno Guimaraes out towards Lewis Hall. Hall kicked it back towards Haaland actually, and he was lucky that Haaland had just gassed himself out, so he didn't fancy the chase.
Yeah, he half put Haaland in then, didn't he?
Ball out towards the right-hand side of Murphy. Murphy trying to bend the ball around the back of the defence. Across comes Ruben Dias again and fends it away. Newcastle losing the game, but the fans not losing their voice away to our right-hand side. They've been in fine form today after a long journey. Here is Fabian Schär. City just backing off here. But the game getting quite stretched as we reach the end of the match. I think it's taken its toll a little bit.
Yep, things have slowed down a bit. Foden there played the ball in behind the back line, and he was surprised Haaland didn't go in.
Here's Miley down the right-hand side, tees it up. Kraft into the centre, away by Rodri, picked up by Kovacic, one back on the edge of the area by Murphy. The ball breaks to the left-hand side, and Bob manages to get it free, and Gvardiol and Kovacic and Rodri get away, and now Haaland's got it on the halfway line, stopping the ball, rolling it back and sending it forward, and then he's blocked by Emil Kraft, you were saying?
Just saying with Haaland there, he's just had to come back and check to stay onside, and that lost his momentum to the through ball from Foden.
You know you're in a good position where you've only made one change, and your second change is to bring on a World Cup winner.
Not bad, eh?
You were in that position when you were Manchester City manager, were you?
Oh, I had loads of World Cup winners sat behind me, but sadly they're all up in the stand watching the game rather than change substitutes.
Kovacic slowing it down. It's real walking pace now. The shirts are heavy. The rain has drenched them all, and the tempo of the game is flat. There is no desire for Manchester City to go and overexert themselves. The international break is on the horizon. Path to a semi-final of the FA Cup has already been forged. It will mean they have lost just one of their last 59 home games here, City. No wonder people come here and expect them to win every week. They've scored for 57 games in a row in all competitions here. And they make that change. Haaland is off and Alvarez is on.
Yeah, not often you see Haaland get substituted. You know, he keeps him on normally.
He takes the applause.
It'd be important that he's firing to his best come the latter stages of the season for City. And certainly in the Champions League. At this moment, I don't think he's fully at it, I must say.
Well, City were 12-1 on Friday to win all three major trophies as they did last season. That was before the draw. I wonder if they've been cut over the weekend for that. But certainly, how would you assess their chances to win all three? 12-1 before the weekend they were quoted at.
Yeah, I don't... Listen, we're into March at the moment, OK? We're into sort of mid to late March. And they're in every competition. They've not got too many injuries. They're not playing as slick as we've seen them. But I'm not sure at this time last year we saw that. And all of a sudden, in those semi-finals and whatever, they went up to a level that I'd never seen before. And I think there's a little bit with City, Sam, that they're so used to winning, they don't step it up until they really have to level out a performance, you know?
That's a different situation for Eddie Howe and Newcastle as the ball is stopped again on the edge of the penalty area by Rodri and sent out towards the far side, the left. Back when the leaves were falling off the trees, Newcastle were knocking City out of the League Cup, thrashing PSG in the Champions League. But autumn's optimism has been replaced by a spring uprising. If fans were upset with Monday's performance, and they won't have been too impressed with what they've seen here tonight either. Although the opposition and level of it is different, the application maybe in that first half not quite up to what they expected. I think that's because they haven't got much left in the tank. Here down the right hand side, Almiron springing the offside trap, and then before he can pull the trigger and bring it into Elliot Anderson, who was waiting in the box, Akanji was there to snuff it out.
I'll tell you what, I mentioned it in the first half, Akanji and Diaz are so good at recovering and getting their bodies in the right area from positions where you think there's big trouble now.
Foden trying to cause big trouble at the other end. They do well to get back here, Newcastle, and snuff out the attack, and Dubravka has it on the edge of the box. There was a few fans that were upset after Monday night's performance. There'll be a few that know that the season now doesn't hold very much hope for any real glory. There's still a chance of European football, but it will be the minor competitions rather than the Champions League that they are going for, Newcastle United. With a minute to go. They're about to lose again here. Not for the first time. It's become a regular event on the calendar. Another trip without a goal. Here is Bernardo Silva over halfway, scampering down the right-hand side, his shirt light blue clinging to him, a darker shade now than it was when we kicked off here 2 hours ago. Back to Akanji, who takes a couple of steps to his left, but at a slow pace. They're in control, they're unruffled. Things are done and dusted and have been for some while. They've exerted control and authority on the match. 3 minutes of added time to be played.
Yep, and I think City will look at this, come away from it, take the clean sheet and say, you know what, it's just been another day at the office really for us.
Here's another day where they've checked off their to-do list. Score goals, win games, concede nothing. And maybe regularly they've been conceding too many goals. And they've now scored 110 this season, Pep Guardiola's team. And 2 enough on the night to see their way past Newcastle United. Tomorrow, Chelsea and Leicester, a repeat of the 2021 FA Cup final, will decide who joins Manchester City and Coventry City in the next round of the competition. Maybe it'll be Leicester City as well. And then after that, Manchester United against Liverpool, where the word City just doesn't really come into the equation.
No, it doesn't fit the narrative on that one.
No. And they don't really like the mention of it, either of them, anymore. Ball has been played out towards the far side. Gvardiol into Kovacic, back to Gvardiol again. Talksport live in the quarterfinals with the rain teeming down. It's been relentless since half-time.
This is one of those games where a man of the match doesn't readily jump out at you, you know, and that probably says something about the game, I would say.
Yeah, because it's been more of a sort of team effort from Manchester City. They've just looked like a well-oiled machine tonight.
Yeah.
Effective, pulling people out of position. Newcastle came here to contain, didn't even manage to do that. And early on it was apparent that they were going to lose out. Almiron thinks he's slipped here, and it's got a yellow card for a foul on Foden.
See, this is the 9th stoppage in the game. We talk about keeping the game flowing and players getting booked for time wasting. It's the 9th time in the game that the referee stopped the game when the team that have been fouled have been in possession.
Manchester City about to do something that nobody else has ever done. They are 30 seconds away from reaching yet another semi-final. Consistency that nobody else has ever achieved in this competition, and it shows just how relentless they are. Foden's gone down. There's a concern about his injury. There was a concern about Harry Kane earlier on today because he scored in that Bayern Munich victory earlier, but collided with a post and hurt himself. We'll follow that throughout the course of the next couple of days. But this game is over, and it has been for some time. Manchester City become the first team in FA Cup history to compete in semi-finals for 6 seasons in a row. It's a remarkable level of consistency and respect for a great competition. Newcastle United falter at the Etihad again. 10 visits, 10 defeats, and no goal here for 6 years. Eddie Howe's side are out of all of the cups, out of the race for the Champions League, and are scrambling to stay relevant in the race for the minor European competitions. The damage done in the first half. Bernardo Silva credited with both goals, both hugely deflected beyond Dubravka, the goalkeeper. It was a one-sided victory, which Manchester City take the applause from. It's finished Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 0.
And it was comfortable, ultimately, Stu, wasn't it, for them?
More than comfortable fight, to be honest with you. They've ended up scoring 2 deflected goals that Newcastle look at and say really poor defensively, I think. And I think they won it comfortably in second gear. From their point of view, they'll be delighted. From Newcastle's missed opportunity, maybe.
Yeah, another missed opportunity for them. Obviously, they got to Wembley last year in the Carabao Cup final, ultimately beaten by Manchester United. But they don't have a good track record at Wembley, so it might have been 10 defeats in a row if they'd have got there for the semis.
Well, potentially. Listen, they would have loved to have won here, but I think as soon as the first goal hit the back of the net, we knew the outcome of this tie.
Yeah, it felt like that, and the treble is still on, the double treble.
Well, all you've got to do is keep ticking off the days and the weeks and the months and stay in all competitions. That's City's aim, and they've certainly done that, and we're getting towards the back end of March.
Yeah, it's getting very excited. Stuart, it's been lovely to have your company. Sam as well. Sam heading down to the tunnel to speak to both Pep Guardiola and Eddie Howe. It's also full-time at Craven Cottage. His Talksport Sam.